Today we're going to go back over and trade this ORB strategy during the U.S. session. So we're waiting on the stock market to open. Actually, it's open and 9:30, and we're waiting the first 15 minutes or half an hour before we place a trade. So I'm going to go over just a few things really quickly so we can get into the charting. So let's go over here. All right, so here's our rules, what we're trading for this week as we're testing this. Basically, we're only looking to trade the morning session. 10 a.m. is what I'm doing, so I'm doing the first half hour and waiting for that high-low of the first half hour and waiting on a breakout after 10 a.m. So 10 to noon is what we're looking to trade. And we're going to take every trade signal. And keep in mind that the only way this indicator signals another buy or another sell is if it crosses the halfway line. So it actually has to pull back. So if it gives you a buy signal, it actually has to pull back all the way and close past the midpoint between the high and the low, and then cross back over the midpoint, and then ultimately close back over the high in order to re-signal for another buy. So keep that in mind. A lot of times it'll pull back and wick down past that midpoint, and that's it, and then it'll cross back over. So there's a lot of different ways you can interpret that and take that, and you just have to make these rules up and stick to them. So you need to, analyze the moves, and that's what we're doing. I analyzed over the weekend, and then this week we're going to trade. We've got Mark helping us in the Discord. He's gone over and analyzing it. He's created a lot of indicators, and I do recommend that if you have an indicator that you're thinking about putting together or something you'd like to see that nobody has out there, he is really quick to get back with you. He helped me a lot with our power trade indicator. In fact, he helped immensely to bring it through to completion where I was stuck in the programming. So Mark is very good at what he does. And of course, he does charge for that. However, he is very quick to get back with you. He knows what he's doing. He is also a trader. And that's what we don't always have. Programmers aren't always traders. And so they don't know exactly how to put together a trade strategy, and that tends to be a problem with a lot of programmers. So you actually want a programmer that does trade. So again, the rules, we're looking for the first half hour, at least in my case. Now, I also have a 9:45 marker there, so if you're looking for just trading the first 15 minutes, you can go ahead and take the trade after it crosses the high or low of the first 15 minutes. So that will be marked on my chart. If we don't take any profitable trades between 10 and noon, then we will take a redemption period trade. So the redemption period is basically 12 p.m. to 4. That's what I'm calling it anyways, my redemption period. So if I don't take any profitable trades during the first 2 hours, then I will go in and take a trade during that redemption period. And a lot of times, and the reason why, again, I covered this yesterday, because between 10 and noon, if it breaks the high and turns around and goes and breaks the low and pulls back in the middle of the box, what has it done? It has created a channel. It's created a high and low after that first 15 minutes or half hour, and then you would expect it to go sideways to a breakout. So a lot of times it breaks out in the afternoon. Okay, in the redemption period, we only take one trade, and that's it. You take the first signal, the only signal, and you only trade that one trade. If you're profitable in the first session, if you're profitable before noon, you can always decide to trade that redemption period as well. Okay, John, let me know if the mic's working well. If you guys can hear me okay. All right, so here's where we ended up yesterday. So yesterday on the tracker that I'm using, you'll see that Nasdaq went up to, let me see, I don't know if I can pull this up over here. You see that Nasdaq went to profit target 2 eventually. 2 trades had to take 2 entries. S&P went to profit target 3 with 1 trade, profit target 3 on Dow with 1 trade, profit target 2 on Russell. So S&P and Dow actually worked out the best yesterday. Okay, so that's something that I'm tracking. Okay, so it was asked, hey, Nasdaq. A lot of people, try and trade Nasdaq. I think there's a lot of hype built around Nasdaq. With the people that do a lot of TikTok, Instagram, YouTube content. Mainly it is built around NASDAQ because a lot of people are interested in trading that. I call the NASDAQ the widowmaker. It's very rough to trade. And as I looked back over this particular strategy, I saw a lot of times it barely went to PT1. So not something I'm looking at trading long term, especially with this strategy. We'll see how it works out this week, but I wanted to track all 4 of the indices and see which ones are better. It could be S&P, it could be Dow here. As of yesterday, it was S&P and Dow. So, but for me, I need more data than just yesterday, right? So I'm going to track it through the next coming weeks and see where we end up overall. Which one of these columns is going to be better to trade? What I don't want to see, I don't want to see a lot of check boxes in here in the redemption period. Because if I can look at S&P or Dow, Russell, NASDAQ, any one of them, if I can look to see it continually, regularly, okay, if it regularly goes to profit target 3 or 4, if one of them regularly goes to profit target 3 or 4, and you rarely have to take a trade during the redemption period, that's the one I'm going to be all over. That's going to be the one I'm going to select to trade. So as of yesterday, I would say S&P or Dow. Now, I don't know what's going to happen today. I'll post that later in the forum. So at the end of the day, I'm posting the results on this for the end of the day, and I'm also posting this right here. This was yesterday's quad chart. So it goes along with what I just showed you on that tracker. So here's the quad chart. So you can see that, again, Dow or NASDAQ, lower left here. Let's see. That's an image, so I don't think I can click on that and screen over. But you can see that the lower left is Dow, or NASDAQ, sorry. And when I say it only went to PT2, I'm looking at how it closed. So it closed over past PT2, okay? S&P up here in the upper left, so the ES, it closed over profit target 3. It actually hit profit target 4. Okay, same with the top right, the Dow. So it closed over profit target 3, almost hitting profit target 4. And then, of course, the lower right is Russell, where it kind of mimicked, and it was actually worse than NASDAQ because it barely closed profit target 2. So looking at the quad chart, okay, NASDAQ fared better than Russell. So Russell did the worst overall. Russell did the worst overall. It barely closed above profit target 2. Okay, NASDAQ closed above profit target 2 and almost hit 3. Okay, so NASDAQ did better than Russell. And then if we look at the other two, they both closed out. So overall, S&P worked the best. In fact, I'll put a checkbox in there for that. But if you go back to this, see how I have a link off to the right? If I click that link, that goes out to the quad chart. So at the end of the day, so you want to track something like this. This is how you want to analyze the market, analyze as you go, okay? Or you can back test the same way and go back and look at quad charts. All right, so let's get over to the screen share. So here we are at screen share. Let me move a couple things over on my chart. It is 9:45, so if you're taking a breakout after 9:45, you want to look at an entry here soon. Now, notice I have the power trade indicator on the chart. I can take that off unless you guys want to see it on the chart and how it holds up, because I'm looking at using it in conjunction with the breakout. I mean, I'm trading this power trade indicator is what I put together. Of course, we're watching multiple time frames, and that's what I'm trading. Okay, so if I can use this along with the orb breakout strategy, basically you're just marking the first 15 minutes or half hour of the U.S. stock market open. Again, you're letting the market play out a little bit. You're letting it get kind of the jitters out of the way, move back and forth a little bit, and then you're going to trade the breakout of that. So if I can look and use the power trade signals along with it, well, that's what I'm looking to do. I'm just, I'll trade this daily as I do normally, but this was yesterday. So yesterday, notice that we actually had a signal on a breakout. We also had a buy signal on the power trade indicator. We had another buy signal here. We had a buy signal over here, signaling what? Continuation after the pullback. Okay, so we had a pullback over here, right down. The power trade indicator was red on that lower time frame, and then boom, the smaller time frame lined back up with the higher time frames and gave another buy signal. So you would want to hold your position. Okay, we would want to hold. So overall, when I looked back, and I did this over the weekend, I just didn't want to get a lot of clutter in there yesterday. I wanted everybody to see what it was with just the orb, but here again, buys, breakout buy, you're holding because you're continuing to get buys, okay? Same over here. We had a buy signal on the orb, we had a buy signal on this, and then we had a buy signal here. We didn't get a buy signal on power trade indicator until this here, right before this second breakout, unfortunately on that. So, another buy signal here, buys. And as you look at the different indices, it doesn't matter. It's the same, guys. So the power trade indicator is based on the three time frames lining up. Okay. So buy, continuation, and you're going to hold, hit, and profit targets. All right. So one thing I'll shut off is, and we'll go back to just Nasdaq today. So here's Nasdaq. Again, we've hit our first 15-minute mark. I think I'll leave that on the chart. I don't think it'll clutter us up too much. So right now, I would be looking for short continuation. Okay. Now, being that the U.S. stock market's open, we'll see what happens. We're left still with negative 195 from yesterday. And Mark did some analysis throughout the night at some point and posted in this morning in that orb strategy thread where he went back and looked. I don't know how far he went back. I believe he's looking at like here on a 3-minute time frame. It only allowed me to go back with these right here with the vertical lines so far. I think it was that March 23rd or 27th, whatever it was. I did post out in the Discord yesterday. Where's it at? I got to go find it now. So I did post end results. Or trade results in there. I don't know if I can share that on here. I think I got to switch. Let me see something real quick. I don't know that I have that set up, guys, in here where I can just show you my, there we go. All right. So I did post it out in the Discord, and you can basically, go out there and look. It's in the ORB strategy, but I posted the day. So I am going to post each day out there where I posted the results, the first trade, last trade, second trade with a loser, move stop to break even. There's the images of the chart on there, and then also the results that are from the account. So there's the two trades in the runner. The runner is tip money, okay? So that is posted along with the quad chart at the end of the day here. I posted this one when we got done with the stream, and but I'm only going to start posting here the end of day, and that's what I just showed you there, and then we'll go over that again in the morning and the quad chart. All right. I'm waiting again the first half hour. Kind of let me get settled in here. Went out and had breakfast, had a good breakfast. So we already had a sell here so far. So again, I'm looking for continuation short because of the downward move. Now I don't know if we're going to get that or not. So I'm not going to trade my signals. Keep that in mind. I'm not looking to trade the sell signals and buy signals off the power trade indicator. I'm going to trade the breakout buy and sell signals. So we really still don't have a high low yet. We got about 8 minutes. I have to take that one off. We'll set up alarms when at 10 o'clock. So far, of course, Nasdaq's pulled up for the previous highs over here. I'm not going to draw extra lines on the charts like I typically would draw high and low lines on the charts. I'm not going to do that because we already have lines on the charts from the previous day. You can go in on this indicator, I know, and looking for a signal here to click on. But you can shut off historical data. And if I do that, what that's going to do is it will only show today's. Okay. You guys let me know what you like better. Do you just like seeing today's? Or do you like leaving yesterday's on? Because really all we're concerned about is right here, right now, the high and the low. We're really not concerned with yesterday's, unless you take that into consideration and you're using that as part of your strategy. Where was the U.S. session yesterday? Okay, in which case you would see like here on Russell, lower right, where our box we're in now is below yesterday's. It's across the board. If you look, all three, and again all four, because they move in sync a lot of times. So even though they move in sync, right, we don't get exactly the same moves. That's why, S&P fared the best yesterday. ES did the best overall because it almost touched level 4. So it did the best. As it, like I said, almost touched level 4 up there. In fact, I think it did touch level 4. Yeah. See how it wicked above level 4 right there? We don't need our crosshairs on. So it wicked right above level 4. So that's the one that did the best yesterday. Not sure what will do the best today. We'll wait and see. So we got about 5 more minutes before we place a trade. I only had this set on the DOM. I don't use the DOM to trade, but again, I set it on the DOM because if I'm looking at 4 charts and I have it on order, if I click on this chart to do anything on S&P, it will pop the, see how it pops the order up here, and I don't want to accidentally place a trade. If I click on Russell over here, it pops that order. So I don't want to accidentally, again, place a trade. So I will switch over to the DOM while I'm looking at 4 charts. I can click on any one of these charts and nothing happens. Now, once I go over here to a single chart, that's when I'll flip it over to order. We have 3 locked and loaded up top, as we're only looking to put on 3 contracts in this account. This is going to be a full test for the week, just a live test. I'm going to trade it that way. Put on 2, close 2 at PT1. I've had people ask about this right here. I used to do this when I started trading, and I haven't done that in a long time. Putting a pending order above the high, that is going to get you in at a better price, right? If it breaks out through the high. But what if it just wicks up above the high? If you guys want me to put trades on this way this week, I can. It's really up to you guys. I like to wait on a candle to close. So I'd wait on a 3-minute candle to close, or a 1, or I'd dump down to a 1 minute and wait. So sometimes waiting for a 3-minute to close past that high or low is going to put us in a little bit later. So it's going to get if it puts us in later, it moves higher up to PT1, well then we're going to have that shorter profit, which we don't like to see. Again, stop loss, we're going to go halfway point. It's up to you where you choose to put your stop. I wish we had a small tool other than this. That's going to be our stop marker. So it's up to you whether you want to, put your stop here. Put your stop at the, like a quarter of the way back from the high or low. Or if you come all the way 3/4 back, that's a pretty big stop. So I don't, recommend using 3/4 or opposite side of the box. A lot of times back in Forex when I started and we were straddling or trading a breakout, it was a tight breakout. It wasn't this. You didn't wait till the market opened. It was pre-market. What happened pre-market? In pre-market, you're marking a high, you're marking a low, and you're waiting for before the market opens, and you're looking for one of those levels to be broken. In which, in this case, I would have been looking at the high, and it would not be Nasdaq. This is currency pairs, and you're getting different movements. But I'd be looking for that right there, and I'd be looking for the start of the U.S. session to break one of those lines, close past it, and then I would get in. In which case it was this one right here that closed past. So then you would wait for a pullback, which we just had, and then you would actually enter short right there on that candle because we had a price pullback. So that's traditionally how I used to trade my breakouts. It wasn't letting the market open and move. During London session was the best. And it wasn't letting London session open and move because a lot of times it would move without you. So that moves differently. We're talking about the euro and the pound or the Swiss, those 3 currency pairs to trade during the London session. So again, different moves, different instruments. This would be tighter typically, especially before news during the London session. And again, I'd be looking at the high, the low, and then waiting on it to break past that during the start of the session. So we just had the indicators fall off. I've got to reset these. Let me go back to the quad chart real quick. They should come back online here. I'm not going to wait on Russell to go. So here's our 10 o'clock. So again, we're waiting on something to close past. Now that's the thing. We're already at the low. If you got in at 10:45, notice something. If you notice, 10:45, you would have taken this candle. This candle broke and closed below the low. So or 9:45, sorry. So if you were only watching the first 15 minutes, it's right here. Okay, 930 candle, 945 candle. You're looking at this high. For your high, you're looking at this high. For your low, right here, this candle, which is what? Which is pretty much what I marked. Not quite here. We'd go back to this high. But we actually had a high and a low. High here, a low bounce here, right, off the candles. That's pretty much around what we're marking. It came up and tapped him. So you would be in on the trade and not to take profit one yet. You would have been in on that candle. So pretty much around the same price. Either or, getting in on that close below at 945 or getting in here on what I was talking about, breaking that low, pulling back to test price and getting in. Now, if it's pulling back and you're getting in and you're not waiting on a bearish candle, you would have got in right there and been up for a little bit. So either one of those entries. So right now, I'm waiting on a candle to close, though. We have our high-low. Again, I don't know if you want to put pending orders on. I haven't tried this strategy with that at all. I'm going to close off the... Actually, we'll just do this. I'll move it up manually. We'll leave the other indicator on the chart. That way we can see that last high right here. So we're going to wait on the candle to close. We can come in. Want to put an alert on the chart. And I think we click that. Let's see. Bear with me. I'm not used to this. So we want outside of the channel. And we want to put a high on here. I'm moving these lines right here to put them on the high and the low so I can get a price over here off to the right. And then I'm going to enter the two prices here. We'll see if this works. Yesterday it didn't work. So we're looking at 19,864 for the high. And then the low, we're looking over here at 19,747. For the low, we want to signal on bar close. And of course, we're on the 3-minute time frame. Everything looks good. Yeah, I'm not worried about the webhook set. It won't send that anyways because that's not set up as script. And that will put our 2 alarm lines. So now we have an alarm line down here on the bottom. We have an alarm line up on the top. And we'll turn the volume up on the computer. All right, sorry. I had to go out and make sure that the I have to leave what you guys are watching on YouTube. I have to leave the screen open. I was just testing there, guys. Make sure your chats are popping up so I can see them on the screen. All right, so now it's just a big waiting game for us. And we wait. So if you got any questions, pop them in there. And I definitely appreciate Mark going out and testing that. Like I said, he's very quick to get back to you. I'm not trying to sell Mark, but he's been very helpful in the indicator space here for me, in getting the power trade indicator done and then adding stuff to it. Very quick to get back, so and get things done. And actually things work. So like I said, it is, if you do have something programmed, it is best to find someone like him that actually trades, that is not just a coder. You can go out and find a million coders out there. The problem is, if they don't actually trade, then they don't actually know how it's supposed to work. They're going off what you're telling them. And if they cannot comprehend exactly what you're saying and what you're trying to explain, normally it doesn't work out. So again, this week we're going to be trading just this strategy, only looking at it. So I had to get in and kind of scramble this morning. Well, not really scramble, but I don't want to miss out on a week's worth of trading. Okay, and we're still waiting. So right now we're in the middle of that box. Nothing special. So we're going to wait and see what happens. Is this just a pullback? So I don't want to get into drawing a lot of things on the chart and everything else, but typically if I was trading back in the day when I first started learning, I was a big Fibonacci tool trader. Huge, because that's the way I was taught. I was taught to look for swings. So we get a move down like this, okay? And you get a move down, and you would draw the Fibonacci tool from the swing high to the swing low, and then wait for a pullback and get in. So if we're in a short trend like this, we're in a downward trend. This has definitely been downward throughout the night during the London session, okay? Then if I want to get in, the best place is not here, right, for me. So that's why I was saying this ORB strategy kind of goes against my my training, my past, and how I trade, because if I would have taken the 945 entry, because again, here's your 945 low. Let me draw a box there. Your 945 low is right here. Your 945 high is right there. Okay, that's your high-low if you're trading the 930 to 945 breakout, and it's going to stick there because I got the magnet on. So again, if you were looking at 945 for your breakout, you got in short here, and you've already taken a loss. And that's why I said I was going to 10. Because on Saturday, as I looked back, the track record I saw, okay, as I looked back and analyzed the moves. Again, I love this tool because with this tool, I can easily go back here to any given day. I could pick a day and open it back up, and I could see what happened. What do I see on this? Guys, this is huge right here. There's your high, okay, 930. Well, that's the high, but right around there. Here's your low, right here, this wick, right, for 945. What do you see here on that candle? Bam. It closes underneath the 945 low. You would have taken that short. If you're taking a candle closing past the lower high, you took that short, only to do what? Only to have a loss. Over here, you actually had a buy because it broke the high and it went to past almost a profit target 2. Okay, so as I went back and looked in the past, that is what I saw. That's why I chose to go to 10 right there. That's exactly why I chose to go to 10. We come back to today. that's what's happened this morning. I haven't taken a trade because I chose to go till 10, which is right here. That's the 10, that's the low between 9:30 and 10. We have a high up here. We haven't done anything. So again, if you're using that 9 to 9:15 or 9:30 to 9:45, you would have taken a short here. Even if you waited on a pullback, if you waited on a pullback to test and got in, you're in the negative or stopped out now. Okay, so for me, again, as I was back testing, looking back, which is what you want to do, I chose to go with the 10 o'clock time frame, 9:30 to 10. So that kept me out of taking a short today. I would have already had a loss. If I was using the first 15 minutes, I would have traded this one here, and I would have already had a loss today. So yay for waiting till 10. And that's my trade strategy that I set up on this. I go early because I have to be online by 8 o'clock. That's a business associate, another real estate investor that was asking about breakfast. So, man, I've already been and gone. He said it's kind of early. So those are stop options again. What I recommend is quarter or middle. You'd have to make that decision yourself. Obviously less risk with quarter level stops than the half. 3/4, I wouldn't recommend going the 3/4 one, because typically if it's gone past that, not always, but typically if it's gone past that halfway mark, it may not turn around. But like we had some of the past, as I went back and tested, as I went back and tested the market, or looked back at the past, a lot of times, sometimes it would just wick down past the mid-level and take you out, and then get you back in another buy, go back up. Are you waiting out the news or the speaker? Yeah, so where's that at here? All right, and so since I'm not trading this week like usual, typically we'll be I'll be in here trading several instruments. So since I'm in here only doing this strategy this week during the live, I'm missing out on market time, my market time that I would normally trade. So, which is fine, but so I've just been going in and placing trades in the Forex market, and that's my bread and butter this week. So this was a trade I placed last night on the Japanese yen. So very, very nice trade. So I got in over here short as it pulled down, as it broke. I had an uptrend line over here. And on this chart, I don't do a lot because this is on my phone. is this picture. So you won't see a lot here. If I'm on my computer, you'll see lines all over the charts again. So basically, it broke over here, broke a line, shot down, pulled back. On that pullback to test that level, that green candle, I got in short. And as you see, when I woke up this morning, it was down here. Okay, so very good trade. I had moved my stop down, and that's where it was overall. So this was a huge trade for me. Again, this is in a very large account. This is in a investment account that I can trade in, still spot forex, so you can trade in your investment accounts. So this is what I was up. 40 is standard for me on this account to put 40 lots on. They're called lots instead of contracts in the foreign exchange market. So this is not trading the Japanese yen futures contract, which you can still trade. Okay. So you have the same move in the futures contract, and I have traded some of the currencies, some of the currency futures in my prop accounts. So, but this one was traded last night in my Forex account. So that's what it was up this morning. So very, very good trade. This is, for me to make a living, I only look for $10K a month, okay, which is $500 a day. That's it. I don't look for anything super huge. Now in this account, this is my retirement account, is what it is. In that, I need larger growth. Okay, I'm not doing anything crazy. I'm still taking the same trades. I'm still taking the same entries. I'm still charting the exact same way as when I started years ago. Okay, so because that was 2004. So here we are, 20 years later. I better know what I'm doing. In fact, if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to do these trades. So I will pull profit. How do I pull profit? It's by closing out 3/4 of my trade. So if you'll see it, when I put 40 on, it's 30 off. I closed 30 off. So I had closed 30, locking in that right there this morning. And then I moved my stop to break even. Or not to break even, but I moved my stop down some. This was the Canadian dollar trade. So this morning I actually traded this one. This was this morning. That yen trade was last night. So this was this morning, okay, where I shorted on a pullback. Stop loss was better than break even at the point I took a picture. This is when I was having breakfast. So when I was having breakfast, I was up, had moved my stop to better than break even, and I was up that right there. Notice there's still 40 on. So that's, we're getting a breakout. That's why I wanted to get back over here. So this candle may close above our high. We're ready to close out 3. I did not get an alert. So that does bother me. Yeah, no alerts triggered. So what do we got? We still got a minute and a half. I knew I needed to talk quickly to get back over here, as it was heading up toward the high. So is this going to keep moving? I don't know. Has anybody got a prediction on it? Looks like it's breaking the high. I mean, it's broke, technically. It wicked past. So we're going to see if this candle closes. I don't want it to do that. I want it to barely cross and close. Because now it's getting up too high to close to profit target 1. So do you get in on this candle when it closes? Now, I saw one that I back tested over the last month, whatever it was, month and a week, 33 days, 34 days, where it had come all the way up to PT1. It was just under it. And I took the trade, but then I didn't close out till it hit PT2. Okay? I wasn't about to get in it right here and then close out, a couple ticks above. So that's something you have to decide. Stop loss. If depending on when this closes, do you guys want me to jump in this right away on closing, or would you rather wait and see if it pulls back? So what I can do is I can go in light with say one contract, and then I'm going to go ahead and go in with 3. I could have went in with light with 1 contract and light with 1 and waited, and then if it pulled back, went in with 2 or added. Sorry. So we are going to close out 2 up here. So we need that sell limit. It's a little bit past 1. That's not a true 1-to-1. If I want a true 1-to-1, I have to go like this. I'd have to move my stop about in here. There's a true, right around 1-to-1 right there. Okay? That's what I'd have to do in order to keep it a 1-to-1 on the 2 contracts I'm going to close. What happened to our box on the bottom? Looks like it shrunk. I hate when it resizes on me over here. Trying to fix this this right here. I have no idea. Guys, this is annoying as anything. Sometimes these little things you'll put on here don't work all that well. And they move around. I don't know why it moved. I need to lock it all back down. Oh, that's why. I'm on a different screen. All right, so far we're up 168. It's moving. Again, do you place it above? I didn't place it right on the line. I guess I should have placed it right on the line. That was my rules. So again, on the stop, on this one, if you're placing it true 1-to-1, your stop is there. Is it going to go the distance? Or are we going to have a pullback here? Because it's already had a huge move up. We've had a nice move up from this low down here up. So is it going to hit that yet? Of course, the buy signal's down here. We got the green. And then we're starting to see on the power trade indicator, we're seeing, of course, the short time frame turned green, the mid time frame turned green. That's because the mid time frames turned green because this big move up. So we're expecting a pullback, or I'd expect that we could get one at any time. The buy signal, again, was on this candle right here. That was the breach of the high, the close above the high. So if I would have kept that pending order, remember I had a pending order right here? That pending order would have got in, a couple ticks earlier. I'm not big on trading breakouts that way. If you would have, something to notice, that if you would have put that pending order, let's move one of these. We're going to do this right here. So I know people do this. I used to do it when I started. I only did it again during the London session. And I was looking at the highs and lows before. You'll get that consolidated time. You can trade as a breakout. I've seen people do it. I've done it in the past. If you put a pending order long, the pending order short outside of the high-low, how far do you go? How far above the high do you go? So you have your high back here. How far above that how far above it do you go for a pending order? Would you put it here? Would you put it here? How many ticks do you go? So that's always the question. How far do you go above? It's easy to look back right now and go, I would have had my pending order short down here, so then I would have had my pending order long here. It's easy to do that now because you're looking at this wick. You see it. However, I can guarantee you that there are people out there today that probably placed a pending order long above the high, pending order short below the low, and they got wicked into an order right here and got stopped out on that first order. I can just guarantee it. I can guarantee you there was at least one person around the world that happened to, if not thousands. See how it even struggled to get the PT1. But we've had a good move up, guys, so I'd expect to see it move. You can always draw a trend line across, from these lows back here. I don't think we need this. I'm going to take this. I'm going to leave the, we're going to have to do some alarm testing on this stupid thing. Oh, that took both alarms off. Yeah, I'm not happy with that the alarm didn't work, because I could have easily set, I could have easily came in and just set, our manual alert on here. And had a manual alert on there and just had it to where, when price crossed up above that line, in this case, now I'd have to have it where price crosses down. I need to make sure my alerts are working. There we go. Yeah, it works. And it just went to my phone. That's what that was. So the alarm works. I don't know why the Lux Algo alarm didn't work. I hate the way they disappear off the chart. Put that back on. I'm going to put the alert line there. So I'm just putting the alert line above that high right there we just created. That way, if I happen to not be looking at the screen, which I don't know why I wouldn't, I'll get a sound if it goes back to that high. Yeah, it's not the same as, to me, this is a little boring. Just because I'm so used to, in the morning, looking at 6 instruments, scanning, seeing what I like the best, being gold, oil, platinum, gold, Bitcoin, oil, platinum, a couple of the currency pairs, 2 of the currency pairs, Canadian dollar and either euro or pound, but typically it's euro. So in the early morning for me, it's gold, Bitcoin, platinum, and oil to look at, and then the euro and the Canadian dollar, because the Canadian market is open with ours, with the New York session. So, and we have a lot of Canadian news that comes out. It comes out the same time ours does, at 8:30 or 10 o'clock. So those are the 6 I look at in the morning. Look to see how things are set up. Look to see if anything has actually recently signaled that I can get in on, get in a few things, and then I don't look at the indices till normally 9 o'clock, 9 to 9:30. I will look and see what they look like, how they're kind of set up before the U.S. stock market opens. So for me, this is a little different because I'm waiting. It's very slow because normally I'm looking at 4 to 6 instruments. This is back to where, this is back to the day when I started and it was watching one thing. And then eventually I got to where I was trading two things, and it was the euro dollar. That was the currency pair. So for me, it was this right here, watching the euro dollar on a 15-minute time frame, no less. So I could get up and do stuff. I mean, you had 15 minutes before a candle closes. So if you're trading a 15-minute time frame, you have 15 minutes between candles, between when one opens and it closes. So you'd have 15 minutes to go make breakfast or go get some more coffee. No, John, on basically, I'm marking highs and lows when they're printed. There's not a certain amount of, well, you need to see at least one candle in the opposite direction before you mark a high and a low. So like this move up here with these three candles, I'm not marking highs and lows on there. And basically, yeah, if I see it like this red candle pulled back here, I'm just marking that as a high right now because I want to be alerted, like I said, in case I switch screens or something. But down here, same thing. We had red candles move down short. We have a large green candle that pulled up. You can mark that candle low because especially you'll see this red candle pulled down and then the green candle here. So you can mark that as a low. It breached it with a wick, but didn't go through. So then at that point, then of course we'd move our low down here to that low for later if we get it breaking. But see right now, marking that high because of that red candle pullback, we're in a sideways movement right now. If you go down to a 1 minute time frame, of course you're going to see that sideways movement. So it's okay to move down to a 1 minute. And I know I said I wasn't going to do this, but the better of me is, and you can draw your trend lines. You have to remember though that trend lines are linear. So just because that trend line's broken right now does not mean that it's changing direction. So we're in it long. It hasn't even come up and touched this level for us to pull profit yet. We have an order up there. Use pending orders. I didn't use them a lot because I'm typically watching the chart. So I would typically wait, price pulls up there, I'll go ahead and close out too because I'm pretty mechanical, not emotional when I trade. So even in my real accounts, prop accounts, real accounts, doesn't matter. I will trade the same way. So when price goes up and hits that, I will go in and close out two. We have two sitting right here, okay, locked and loaded. So all I have to do is when price goes up and hits that price, I'd come up and just hit sell. I'd sell two. And the problem with that is if it comes up and hits the line and then gets sucked back down real quick, what happens? I don't close out quick enough. So right now, mechanically, it's going to, if it touches, it's going to close out two for me. So that's making you take profit. You're trying to make this as systematic, robotic as you can to take your emotions out. Because again, a lot of traders, I used to do this a lot in the past, it would come up and touch my profit level, and instead of closing partial, I'd say, you know what, I'm up $200, right? Because I'd be up around 200 hitting there. I'm up $200. I just want to squeak out some more. I want to see it hit 3 or 4. Then I'll close out some. And then it does this. It pulls back. And what happens is it pulls back. Now I'm losing, watching my profit dwindle, or maybe even it goes into the negative. Okay. So by putting those limit orders on, in this case, that sell limit, that'll make sure that I lock in profit, because that's what I have to do to make money for the day. So we'll be up about what, 2 something? We're at 2 now. About 240 maybe when it hits, and it'll close out 2 of the 3. So that's what, 160. And again, a lot of people that are out there working every day for 8 hours. And I know in my area, even if they're making $20 an hour, and I always relate that back to construction because that's been my life's background. And then I have guys that, work on the house remodels for me, that $20 an hour is what they make for the day. That's only $160 for the day. So if these two close out, that will have locked in that daily wage, basically, is what you're looking for. And then we have to decide where we're going to move our stop. So are we going to move the stop, up in here below this low, which would put us at that break even? Do we want to give it a little more room and keep it below the opening range high, which is back here? Okay, that purple line. That's our opening range high. So do we want to keep our stop back here in case it pulls back a little deeper and bounces there? Or we can leave our stop where it is. So if we leave our stop, let's look at that. If we leave our stop where it is, if this goes up and hits that level, it's going to do what? It's going to close out 2 contracts at the 1-to-1, because I pretty much set the stop at 1-to-1 today. Okay, so if it goes up and hits there, it's going to close out 2 contracts at 1-to-1. If I leave my stop on the runner, and it pulls all the way back, then it's going to close 1 at 1-to-1. So I'd have 2 locked in at 1-to-1. Profit, I'd lose back 1 at 1-to-1. So basically I would have 1 contract at the end of the day. I'd be in profit. This would be a profitable trade still, leaving my stop here at 1-to-1. It'd totally be a profitable day, but it would be 1 contract of profit. Okay, not 2. If I move my stop to the break-even point and it comes and stop me out, then what happens? Then if I get stopped out, I don't lose anything. It'd be 2 contracts at profit. If I move my stop here to the halfway point, okay, if I move my stop halfway up between where it is now and the order where I got in on the runner. So again, if it goes up and closes 2 contracts of profit at 1-to-1. Move my stop to the halfway point, I will lose on the runner, I would lose half back of one of those 2 contracts. So I'd have 1 full contract at 1-to-1 and 1 contract at half way to 1-to-1 because of where the stop would be moved here. So that's kind of what you got to think of. How do you want to end the day? If this is the only trade you take today, sorry guys, if this is the only trade you take today, would you rather see 2 contracts in profit? And that's it? That's all we get, 1-to-1? We could lose back 1 of those contracts. Will be wiped out if we leave our stop. Half of 1 of the contracts will be wiped out if we move our stop here. If we move our stop to break even, we'll have no loss against the gains. So these are the things you should be thinking about now while we're waiting for the candles to fulfill and waiting on it to get done moving and push up to our profit target. So far, I love what we've done. We've still printed higher highs, higher lows. We have a high over here. We have a low here, which is definitely higher than back in here. It kind of tested that high, pulled back, higher low, and then actually broke the high over here, came back, higher low. So still printing higher highs, higher lows. That's why I mentioned if you draw trend lines, well, trade lines, I call them, if you draw them, just because price breaches them does not mean that move is over. So just because it breached the trend line does not mean that the upward movement and momentum is over. So Trend lines are linear, straight line. Market doesn't move in a straight line. Market moves in waves. Eventually, it's going to time push through your line. If it's not willing to go up, okay, here it was willing to push up. When it came over to that line that was drawn from this low to this low, price was not willing to continue up at this point in time. It just wasn't ready. So it had to push somewhere, push us through the line. It also wasn't willing to push down yet, which is great, but just wasn't ready to keep climbing. We were almost taken out here and just not taken out yet. So I'll remove the trend line because that is not valid anymore. When it crossed through here, pushed up, pushed back, once we had to move up here, this upswing that broke that high, that's when you'd want to move your trade line or trend line out. And we've done the same thing over here. So over here, it broke through the trade line. We just haven't seen a higher high yet. So we can't, if you're using trend lines, you can't put it right here right now. You can't put it right here right now. You're trying to predict, okay? If you put your trend line there or move it here, you're trying to predict that it's going to bounce and move up. I'm not a predictor. So right now my trend line is here. It broke this. We don't know. Is it going to continue with bullish structure, or are we going to see bearish structure come in play? Okay. Well, I want to see bullish structure, of course, but it may not. It may start to form bearish structure. So as of right now, it broke the trend line, came up to test the high. That high of resistance is held. So we're going to see some sideways movement in here. It might break and push. So I will only move the trend line. And at this point, it wouldn't be here. It would be to this wick. I will only move that trend line once it breaks the high. It has to come up and break this high for us to say we're still in bullish character, structure, bullish momentum, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same. It doesn't matter. The terms have changed over the years. That's only to keep it exciting out there in the market. So whatever you want to call it, it's still a bullish move if it comes up and breaks this high. So again, if price comes up and breaks that high, then we'd say, okay, we still have bullish momentum. We would move our trend line out. Because like I said, if you were trying to move it now, here, or here, what's it doing? It's breaking through. So are you moving it here now? I'm not. Because again, you're trying to predict that if you're doing that with your trend line, you're trying to predict that it's stopped, that it's not going to go down. You're basically, by moving your line, you don't know it, but you're actually trying to predict that it's not going to go lower, that it's going to break to the high side. And it could, but that's the wrong way to move your line. And that's the same on every single chart. Doesn't matter what time frame, whether it be a 1 hour or 4 hour. If these were 4 hour candles, we'd be waiting on the same exact thing. Well, by now we'd probably have our line there. But basically we're waiting on a high to be broken, which is this high. Has to be broken. And then we would move, we would find the lowest outer point, okay, which would be this one, and then we would move our line. That's proper trend line movement. That was how I learned to do it a long time ago. You wait for structure to tell you to move your line. The charts, the candlesticks, they'll tell you everything you need to know. You just need to know the right way to interpret the information to move your charts and everything else. Limit order was triggered. So we closed out 2 contracts. Guys, that stock went up. I haven't checked it this morning. That stock went up quite a bit yesterday. So we locked into Oh, I don't need to do that, guys. The profit's there at the bottom of the screen. So we covered. So remember, we were still at negative, and we'll move our stop. Do you guys want me to move it halfway or break even? I'll move it wherever you guys want me to move it today. On the test, I moved to break even like that, just to cover. So I guess we should move it like that, since that's how I did on the test. So since we broke that high, okay, since we broke the high now, we definitely broke through that high. Let me take the arrows off here. Now's the time to move, proper time to move that trade line. And we're not going to move it here. We're going to move it to the most recent outer point. I don't know. Does anybody trade stocks in here? I'm not a big stock trader. Tyler texted me. They're trading stocks in school. So I hope he got to class at 10:20 for that class. So I don't know if he's going to use this today, because they're like, I don't know what he told me, 27th in the class or in this competition. 2 week investing. They can actually day trade as well. And last week he's like, no, I'm going to do it with my friends. And they're not really investing. I'm like, they had like a $200,000 account to trade with. There's 4 of them, and they're in 3 tiny little trades. I'm like, you guys should be making way more money than that. So yesterday he texted me and asked for a stock pick. I went out and scanned for a stock. Believe it or not, I used TradingView's stock screener. Really liked it. This is the stock screener I used. Went through and looked at several things. This is a stock I picked, this BioCrest. It's a pharmaceutical stock. And if you know anything about pharmaceutical stocks, they can tank quickly. So this is over here where I bought. I kind of cheated a little. I had my power trade indicator on there as well. But what I was looking at, and I won't go into big details on it, but what I was looking at was the how it was doing overall. And over the last 30 days, it had 49% growth. Over the last week, had 24% growth. So over the last month, it had 49% growth, but over the last week was half that. And over the last day, yesterday, it was climbing, and it was 17% of that 24% growth for the last week. So I told him, I sent him a text right away, and I said, dude, I found one. It is climbing now. I said, you need to jump in, though, and don't wait. And he didn't get in it. I got in it and was up. I risked 2,500 and was shooting for double that. And when it got to the double, I closed out almost all of it. I left like a couple hundred contracts on. So I just told him, I said, you'll have to watch it today for a breakout. And I told him, I said, I have no idea if you can trade it the same way. Oh, where are we at? I don't even know where I'm at on the breakout, which is here. So that's the stock I told him to kind of keep an eye on. So right now, I just don't know, because stocks are completely different. I just knew I had to analyze it. All right, so we're getting a break. Again, outside that trend line. Is it going to go back and stop us out? So the one trade we took, or the 2 contracts that closed, I don't know why I don't have this on the chart. I guess I should have these on. Normally I do. We're getting that healthy pullback. My stop is kind of, as I see it, in the danger zone, right? Because if we were back here risking half of one of those contracts back. That's why I asked you guys where you wanted to put it. Because for me, I just know if I pull it to pull it to break even, to me it's in a risk zone. Because as I could see price pulling back to test this low area, or even test the high, okay, the high of the range right there, that I'm going to be stopped or wicked out, okay, and then it might just keep going long, and that's what happened yesterday. Yesterday stopped out because it pulled to break even instead of giving it that room, and then it just kept going up. I tell you what, let's check on while we got time. We're going to see what these have done. So let me put this back on the DOM so these things don't. So far, I'm going to look across the board. Let's see what looks good so far. I think we've done well on Nasdaq. You'll see that S&P, it closed above its high as well, or crossed its first take profit. The problem with this one would be, again, you're getting in. See where we would have got in? We would have got in here, and you're already halfway to PT1. So you would have wanted to squeak your target up some, which it looks like it would have been hit. Same here. We had a buy here. PT1 was hit, and that's based off the halfway point. So if you did put your stop, and that's what we want to look at. What about stop placement? Could we have gotten by today if we traded any one of these four? If we traded any one of these four instruments, could we have gotten by with a quarter stop placement over half stop? This is how you want to analyze what the possibility of trading these. And if we look, S&P, you could have got in, stop placement quarter. It's hit PT1. You might have squeaked it up a little bit above. I don't know that I would, because I actually have a 4-hour support resistance level there. So I would have squeaked my target under that, or kept it under that. Same here with this one. Quarter stop placement. Across the board, quarter stop placement would have worked. The only one is Russell. Russell hasn't moved all the way up yet to its. So that's how I would look at all four right now. See what's. I'm going to reset these so they don't. Price doesn't drift on them. So far it's pulled to that previous low right here. Which if I look at that low, it's also an inside bottom. So I'm looking at where we're hitting right now. Why is it stopped? Okay, well, we have a previous low here. If I look to the left, it's pretty much the inside bottom. So the inside of these swings. That's an inside bottom. Inside top is when it pushes up. So this move up right here and then back down. So that swing up and down, this, where our line is right here, that's the inside of that top. The underside of the top, the inside top. That's where you'll hear people say inside top and bottoms. That's the inside of that top is where our line 1 is. And this line here is the inside of that bottom where I got marked IB. So it's something to be very aware of, because where it's turning, it may not get to the low wick. If we look at the inside bottom here, the inside of that swing, if you look at this move down, it almost touches, it just wicked down briefly. And that's what it's doing here. It's barely hitting that low right there. Okay. So that's great for us that it's not pulling down to the low where our order is, because that would mean it's making a higher low, which is what we want. We want a higher low. We want it to continue making higher lows, higher highs. Not moving our trend line yet. Again, we're not predictive. We're not trying to be predictive, or else we would have been doing this. We would have moved it there. Candle would have broke through. Then you would have moved it here. Candle broke through. You'd have moved it then you'd say, okay, yay, we're bouncing. And then here it wicked down below. Oh, no, wait. Okay, yay, we're bouncing. Oh, no, wait. Wait. Okay, so that's, you don't know it. People don't sit there and do that and say, well, I'm trying to predict that it's going to turn and push back up. You don't say that. You don't know that you're doing it because no one's ever taught you that doing that is actually trying to predict that it is ready to turn and go long. Because if it keeps pushing down, what are you doing? I've gone over this before. You keep moving your line down, 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 down. And before you know it, what have you missed? Well, before you know it, by pushing your line out there, it's actually pulled up, swings down and pushes down below these lows, which is what? If it's pulled back right now, if it pushes down below these lows, well, then it has made, so if that's all it does is pull up and it starts pushing down now, once it breaches these lows, once price goes past, closes past that, then we'd say, ooh, it's made a lower low. Okay, once it pushes past, making a lower low. So that's our lower high. What does that give us? A high. This would be a lower low than over here. And then lower high. And then, of course, like I said, if it pushes past lower low. What is that? Well, that's bearish structure. So you have to be careful. I almost clicked the close or reverse order. Got to be careful of that. So you got to be careful moving your lines. But a lot of people just don't know. They weren't taught how to move them properly. And trust me, I've seen people out there showing on videos moving trend lines, 1 hour, 4 hour, 15-minute trend lines, and they're moving them and they're not doing it properly. So are we seeing the ABC start of a bearish structure forming? Okay. Are we seeing the change in character over here? Guys, they call it, change in character, change in structure. Okay. We don't know yet. The trend line break is not the time to say the uptrend's over. If it was, again, we had the trend line over here. That's why I wanted to draw it on the chart and just keep going over this, because a lot of people don't know. If we had it here, it broke, and there's people that'll take that short. That was a losing trade for them. Okay. It went back and tested, pulled back down, not breaching the low or the high over here, right? Went back up to test the backside again, pulled back down again. Just because it's broke that trend line doesn't mean it's over. And I'm moving the wrong line. So again, for us, it's over here because it broke the line again. We're not moving it out along the way. We're waiting on it to breach this high over here. I don't really have a high line. This would be our high to break. It's going to let me stick one over there. There we go. So that's the high we're waiting to see if it breaks. Once it breaks that high, as soon as if it goes up, breaks that high, two things will happen. So if it goes up and breaks that high, we're going to move our trend line out. Okay, we're going to swing it out. And then again, if it breaks that high, we're going to swing that out. We're also going to say to ourselves, it's making a new high. So once it just crosses past that line, it's basically made, already on its journey to making a higher high, which means what? Bullish continuation. Okay. So we're waiting to see what happens. But this should be your thought process. Every trade, every move, every candle, that's what we're doing. We could still see bearish structure form until it breaks that high. Once, if it breaks the high over here, again, once it crosses that line, we're going to say, okay, you're showing me, price is showing me bullish continuation. What is that, John? I'm reading it here. Oh, yeah. On the highs, lows. Guys, this is like, this should be Trading 101. I mean, it really should. And the problem is a lot of people just don't know where to turn. That's where I was when I started. And guys, I feel sorry for people starting today. Because when I started back then, we didn't even have TikTok and Instagram. Facebook was around, it didn't have much. The internet didn't really have a lot out there. So I was grateful for that because who knows how long it would have taken me to learn. And of course, I lucked out and found a guy that was willing to teach me, that had traders trading his money, that lived over in Boca Raton. So that was life-changing for me to find him and his group. To be able to go over, I was 3 hours away. I would have rather him been in Naples. That would have been the only way it would have been better. But he was 3 hours away, and I got to shut them alerts off, getting to me. So for me, I'm getting some MetaTrader alerts. So that's probably my stops have been hit. Yeah, so I was taken out of the Canadian dollar trade. But the NM profit, I still have that runner on the yen from last night. But that was instrumental in me making it, was to find him and pay for that training. And it wasn't cheap. It was $20,000. But I looked at it as I was going to get my college. I was going to get my diploma in trading, my college degree. So real grateful for that. But like I said, I feel sorry today. I used to, back when I stopped doing the group back in the day, I used to send people to that Baby Pips. I don't even know if that site's still up right now, babypips.com. And you just start in whatever it is, preschool, kindergarten, I don't know. They've got it set up like a school. You start in preschool and you work your way up. Hi, unknown. We're live right now. Why am I unknown? Or they just pull my phone number somewhere. And we're still waiting. It struggled a little bit. It struggled a little bit to, I don't even know who these people are. It struggled a little bit. It's right at the inside high, the inside top. That's where it's at. That's why you should be very aware of inside tops and bottoms. Because, and a lot of people don't teach that. Actually, back in the day when I was doing that, it was Jim from Cincinnati that was in our group, in my group, that was talking about the inside tops and bottoms. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, the underside of the swing. You know, you have a swing up and back, and the inside of that move. He said that would be an inside top, an inside bottom. And I'm like, okay. And as I'm marking them and looking, I'm seeing, you know, price pull up and it's hitting that area and then pulling back down. And I'm like, okay, it made a lower high. So right now, that's what I'm looking at. Are we not going to go above this point? Are we going to see candles come down here? If we start seeing red candles coming down, well, that's our bearish structure forming, right? We thought it might happen back here. Well, the bullish side of the market is still continuing to push it up. So I don't want to move my trend line out yet, because then I'm trying to predict that the bullish side of the market's over. Right now, what I look to do is, are we forming that pendant or flag or sideways motion? Okay, that we would look. And right now we could see we have a low back here, we have a high back here, and basically we're in between that. Okay, so as our swings, if we keep swinging within this high, okay, and the low back here, this one, okay, because after all, that was after the big move up. So if we stay between this low and this high, we're in a channel. And is that going to get tighter as it moves? Is it going to get tighter in here? Higher low, lower high, higher low, lower high, higher low, lower high. What is that forming? You guys know what that's forming. A flag. Pendant formation. That pendant formation. And we could look and see about pulling back here. See how those wicks kind of stay under a little. So I'd move this out a little bit. We want to try and get all the highs and lows in that we can, all the wicks. So I'll have to move the chart. There we go. So that would be that. And that's what we're looking at now. Is it's getting, and as you guys know, I like pulling my the back side of these just so it looks more like a pendant. I don't know why, guys. Shoot me. That is just me. That's just the way I am. Okay. So that's what we're in right now. We've formed a high, a low in here. We had the huge move up, pulled back, and then we had another move up here, breached this high area over here, breaching this high. Okay. So we said, okay, now higher high, and then it came down, pushed back up. We have a higher low than this one. So marking, and you guys could be marking the trend lines. We'd be marking like this, from that low to that low. And then you would be marking from this high to this high. And then you should notice, if you're using trend lines like that and marking them, well then you would notice without this, that you're forming that wedge or pendant pattern. So is it going to break through here to the bottom? So we did have a lower high, so not good for our long. And you don't know which way it's going to break out. We'd love for it to break out to the high side, but it's coming back to test the low. So I like that we made up our loss from yesterday. That may be all we do today on this. That's not great if that's all we do, but it's okay. Oh, and I chose not to even look for trades yesterday afternoon during that redemption period, because again, yesterday the first trade was a loss, the second trade was a win. So I just chose to, since I took a win, at least had one winning trade during the morning, chose to not look for an entry in the afternoon. And I believe it, didn't it just stay, it stayed above anyways. It never pulled back anyways. But that would have been what we'd been waiting on, was another signal. And it was already so high, it just kept moving up. And see, now you know why we didn't do this. Again, moving our trend line out. Because again, you're watching the breaks, and is it just going to continue short? Right now, it's made a lower low than over here. So we have a lower high, lower low. We're in that bearish structure on the other side of a trend line. Again, doesn't mean the move up is done, but it doesn't look good for our long. Let's check in on the 4. Still S&P. Now I knew S&P would have issues because I do have a 4-hour support and resistance level there, guys. Dow, same thing, hit 1. I mean, they're all in the same movement right now, same pattern. So I'm taking off the previous. If you turn off the historical data on this, notice if you have it on, by default, the charting will make sure that you see the high and the low from the previous day, and it kind of scrunches the chart down. So if you shut it off, it only includes today's. So you don't have to manually, like blow this up like that and then miss the candle move. So your charts are moving manually. All right. It's a friend of mine's ringtone. I don't understand. I don't understand it. Got someone that bought their first investment property, 4-unit, and her fiance does construction. Not really for a living, but he does stuff. And she's texting me to ask me about, I don't do that stuff anymore. That's why I told her. I said, yeah, I don't go out with tools anymore. Said I got guys, but I'm not sure why she's not using her fiance. They've got a strange thing going on with their investment stuff. Like he wouldn't even help her or guide her in investing and looking at her first. She was looking at her first rental property, and it's a 4-unit she wanted to get. No advice from him, and I don't really know why. Unless he's that type of person, it's just like, well, no, I'm the investor in this relationship. Whatever. For me, I care less. I'll help anybody who wants to invest any way I can. But I had to help her with the contracts, the purchase, and everything. The rental contracts. So I don't understand their relationship unless that's the like I said, the case. I'm gonna take the I got the two little trend lines here off. We briefly formed a low there. I'll move this back. I think I can move this back enough to just include this wick. Actually, that's not right. I don't know if I can move this out far enough. So we still might be in that sideways movement. It's going to push down here to maybe touch that. What's that, John? What'd you do? Something about zooming the chart. So, again, not the greatest morning today. About the same as yesterday. Got in a trade. We've got a good trade here. It covered yesterday. Why is that not showing? Getting kind of tired of these little profit and loss things. They're not, I mean, that's the usual one we would have up. I don't know why I keep having to move this. Oh, I know why. Sorry, guys. This is just me being not thinking. Because no, I had the trade window open. I'm looking going, why is our trade not showing? Sorry about that. I had the trade window open before. Oh, John, you're talking about this? Are you talking about zooming out like this, showing all the previous highs and lows like this? Is that what you're talking about? Like zooming in so you can see all the highs and lows? I think that's what you're talking about. And yeah, I do recommend doing that, at least to get your bigger picture. Yeah. So you guys know that normally when I come in and sit down at the chart, I'm here. I'm doing this. This is me right here. I'm on the 4 hour. Now I've deleted everything off this chart for the 4 hour time frame. I don't think I did it on the rest. See, here's Dow. So Dow, we go to 4 hour. You know, I'm always like this. I'm always looking at that 4 hour time frame, looking to see this type of stuff right here. Where's our zones? The 4 hour zones, the 4 hour swing highs and lows. So we have a huge swing here, huge swing up, swing back down. We're marking that level. We're marking that level. Look at this swing down here. So on that swing down, we start to get a move back up. We mark that level. I marked off this wick and that wick on this candle right here. And that gave us a point. Well, on the swing back down, what did it do? It turned above that zone. So yeah, I do recommend always, you know, for me, it's always, my morning starts with the 4 hour time frame. Coffee and 4 hour time frame. And look to see where we're at on the 4 hour time frame, and then go out to the hourly, because on the 4 hour, we could see that this morning, you could see that, because here's your 4 hour candle that we're in right now. So this morning, looking at a 4 hour time frame, again, this is the candle we're in right here. Okay, right now. And previously it had dropped to what? Dropped to that zone, that 4 hour zone. So is it going to go through the zone, or is it going to turn on the zone? We don't know. Okay, let's drop to a 1 hour. You see the 1 hour. There's your 1 hour bounce and pull back, drop to a 15-minute. There's your 1 hour bounce, you know, on the 15-minute chart. But now we're seeing what? As this candle right here pulled up, it broke this high plateau area in here where there was a good support resistance level, right? So as price pulled down here, pulled back up, that is our resistance level. So it broke back through, broke the high over here. What is that telling us? Well, here's a low, but now we have a higher high, okay, which is telling us we might see structure change to the high side. So always 4 hour time frame, 1 hour, 15-minute before I drop down here and trade. I feel that it is very irresponsible for me to come in and we disconnected, chat disconnected. But I think we're back connected. If somebody wants to type something in there, or I can put a whatever in there. I just want to make sure the chat's still connected. There we go. But I feel it's very irresponsible if I just come and sit down to the chart and just jump right on a 3-minute time frame. So, and right now we're pretty much in here. We're basically in a sideways movement across the board on all 4 of our indices. But that's why you won't see me ever just come down to a 3-minute time frame and trade. I don't jump in the charts like that. And I always zoom in to get the most data I can in the mornings when I'm analyzing the charts. Guys, I trade from my phone. I don't recommend it for anybody starting. I just don't. I've seen too many, and it bugs me to death. Don't get me wrong. You can post charts however you want. But I don't like when people show me their phone and it is, here, let me pull something up here. So I'm a firm believer in turning your phone sideways so you can see an entire move. Okay? Not you see just like part of the move. Okay? Trying to get this in here. So there, I've seen a lot of people that will have their chart like this. And I know you might not see the charting in there. But they've got the chart, you know, turned like this, if you look at the corner, and that's all you can see. That's not enough data for me to see. You got to turn your chart sideways. I want to see the swings. I want to see more data. I don't even see my trade. This is the one on the Japanese yen that I'm still in. So I'm still in that short. It's in a big pullback right now. I'm okay. My stop's way up there. However, turn the chart sideways and, you know, zoom in so you can actually see a candle, and you don't see any of that. You don't see my trade on there. I don't see where my stop is. So, a lot of times I don't do it anymore. I've gotten past that. So if you take a screenshot and you post it in there and it's vertical, I don't ever comment anymore. But if you ask my advice on something, you better turn it sideways. And I normally have just told people that. It's like turn your phone sideways, scrunch it in a little bit, look at the candles now, look at your highs and lows, and you should be able to figure out yourself. But post me a screenshot like that, you know, where we're looking. So that's what I like to see. All right, so that's why we waited this out. Not predicting, again, not moving our trend line predicting that it was going to bounce, but it did. So we've had that, you know, candle high, low, higher high, or lower high, and it actually breached through a little bit, but the candle closed here. So lower low, but it's broke out to the high side. So right now, it has technically made a higher high, which is great for our bullish position. Now we can move this trade line out. Make sure these are attached here. So we've had 2 breaks of that line. We have our trade line up. So we've had 2 breaks through that. Okay? On both. Or several times. We had this steep move. And you guys know that the steeper the move, the quicker it tends to break. And we know that it's not going to hold up long term. I've had people go, well, look at the angle. It's super, super straight. What angle is that? I don't know. And you can always make it a 45. I've had people go, well, 45, they tend to not break 45. I'm like, well, you zoom it out like that, there's a 45 for you. It's not. So it depends on how much data you zoom in. But anyways, it broke that, okay? But then when this price pushed up, broke the high, again, that's why we moved it out. So you moved it out. Once it's made that high, you'd move it out to the wherever candle it attaches to that's furthest out. It broke that line again, and then right now it's pushed up to break the previous high, and so we can move that line out. So that's where it's at right now. So we'll see if we get a bounce here. I don't, on my entries, John, normally what I'm doing is zooming, taking the 4 hour. Why is that indicator gone off all these? Oh, I turned it off. I'm sorry. I never turned it back on. So for me, I'm typically going out and only doing that on the 4 hour, the 1 hour and 15 minute. I'm going all the way down 4 hour, 1 hour, 15 minute so that you get the data off the higher time frames. And then when I'm down on the 3, I don't zoom it all the way back like that on the 3. I am and need to stay aware of where the highs are. But normally what's happened is, let's go through that. Let's see. I'm going to wait. We'll wait here. I'll move my stop up some. I think I'll move my stop up above the opening range high. I don't think I want to move it to break even yet in case it comes back down to test this low. And then what we'll do is we'll go out here. I want to leave the stuff on the charts. Let's close this. So basically, again, 4 hour time frame. And then I'm looking at the swing highs and lows. I've got everything shut off. Can we just shut off the indicators? We're going to hide the indicator. Oh, I deleted my... yeah, I can't do that on Nasdaq then. Because on Nasdaq, I've deleted everything on this chart. So we can go back here. We'll go back to Dow. And I will shut off the indicators. So again, the 4 hour, I'm looking at the highs and lows, and I'm marking those swings. I'm marking zones. A zone is basically typically from a wick. So see this candle wick, that green candle wick? So it's from a huge swing up and down on a 4 hour time frame, the highest point. We see it swing up here, swings down. We take that and mark that as a high. It may never get above this point. Okay? So that's a 4 hour turn. On the 4 hour time frame, the market shifted here. Okay? We have buying pressure. Now it's all selling. It's all a sell-off from that particular price point. I need to be aware of that price level. That's a 4-hour turning point. This down here, look at that huge drop over here. Huge selling pressure, huge drop. It turned over here. Now, I marked the whole candle. I marked that whole green candle body because I didn't have any wick on either one of those candles. No long wick. So I just marked the whole 4-hour candle. I need to be aware of that price area. Okay? So huge swing down, swing back up. Need to be aware of that price turn. That is that's where the big players are, the market makers. Okay? They're turning the price there. I'm not. So I need to be aware of that. So if I go out on the 4-hour time frame, I can make myself aware while I'm down trading on the 3-minute time frame because I have these zones marked. If you look over here, what happened at this zone? I marked this zone over here. And what happened on this side? From marking this zone here, move up and turn, move up and turn, move up, hung out for a while, pull back a little, finally broke it. What did it do after it broke the zone? Tested the bottom, moved on up. What's it doing right now? Testing the zone. You should be very aware of these. You should be very aware. I'm trying to read what that says. I'm not sure what you're talking about on that, Aaron. Not to explain what happened, but explain what will be. If that's in relation to this, that's what we're doing. We're looking at what will be drawn our zones. So you need to be very aware of these zones, these levels. So we'll mark the zones. Look at over here. Huge drop down, move back up. If I wouldn't have had my zone here, then when it came and turned here and shot up, it might have surprised me because of this big downward move. But I had my zone there. So when it started turning and pulling back up on a lower time frame, I wasn't surprised because I'm not watching this on a 4-hour time frame. On this particular swing down, I'm not watching on a 4-hour time frame. I glance at a 4-hour time frame. Then I go down to a 1-hour time frame, and I was looking. Then I'm down on a 15-minute time frame, and I'm looking. Okay? And you're looking for what? Looking for a bounce, looking for structure to change. Okay? Pulled down. Okay? Lower lows, lower highs on a move down. It comes up here and does what? When it comes up here, it forms still a lower high than this one, but then comes down, pulls back, and then shoots up. On this candle here where it shoots up, what's it do? Breaks that high. Structure's changing. That's where you'll see that some people talk about changing character. What's the character? Well, we were moving short. Now that changing character, change in structure. We're over here, we're in bearish formation, bearish continuation, bearish movement. We're seeing structure change to the bullish side because of this high right here that broke that high. Comes down higher low, just wasn't ready to take off yet. It pulled deeper, only to test or retest this level, retest that zone, and then you'll notice the 4-hour levels here because of the 4-hour chart, but it's this level right here on the 4-hour. That's why these aren't attached. Sometimes when you dial down, you have to reattach them because if you're on a 4-hour and attached to a candle, when you go down to the smaller time frames, it won't be attached. It'll be like hung out like it just was. Okay, so it pulled back up to that previous high, tested it, pulled down, retested it, finally broke it, boom, it shot up. Okay, now from there, from that change in character, change in structure, it tested this zone. That's why you have to have the 4-hour time frames on there. So yeah, I'll dial down. Where are we at now? So like I said, we're seeing the same thing we just saw that I just showed you on that green time frame was over here as well. So we would have had a downtrend line because we're on a 15-minute. And if you keep up with your trend lines, on the 4 hour, 1 hour, you would draw the trend lines down, and then we would look for a break, change of structure or character after those. You would have had a steeper line here. It would have been here, right? You would have had a steeper line here. But then when it pushed here, this candle pushed past the low. You always got to be watching the highs and lows. That is something you need to pay attention to. Okay, pushes down, low, because it pushes back. So we have a low, breaks the low. Well, then you move this down to that low, because then it pushes back, breaks the high. Is structure changing, right? So we have lower lows and lower highs over here. Now this just broke that high. Is structure changing? Well, it looked like it was until it pulled down and broke the low. When it broke through, because this is a 15-minute time frame, you better believe you include the wicks. When this candle broke through that low, then you'd say, nope, bearish structure is still in play because it broke that low. At that point in time, once bearish structure breaks that low, move your trend line, move your low to break line right there. And then you would have a high to break line, which would be here. Okay. Little sideways movement there. And then what do we see? Basically, when it shot down here, it did what? It turned at that trend line. Not a new trend line. It's a repositioned trend line. We only repositioned it when price broke that low. That is the only time we repositioned it. You have to wait. You have to wait till the highs and lows are broke. Candle breaks through the low. What do we say? I can swing my trend line out. So same thing here. When this candle went and broke this low, that's great for our bearish continuation. We're still in a bearish move. We're still making lower lows, lower highs. When this candle's forming, we say to ourselves, I could swing my trend line out. Do I need to? Well, when we look back here, no, we don't. We don't need to swing our trend line out like we did back here, okay? So we have an outer downtrend line, inner downtrend line. It pushes down. We would have moved our low down here. Now, I'm doing it on a 15-minute time frame, but we'd be down on a 3. It's the same thing. It doesn't matter if you're on a 4-hour. You still should be doing the same thing, same moves. So we have a new low. This candle pops up to do what? Just test that trend line, okay? And it's bouncing, though, on our zone. So if I would not have had this 4-hour zone on the chart, which is from way back here, again, it's not marking this swing on a 15-minute. I marked it on a 4-hour time frame. That is where this zone came from. But look at how it's held up, okay? Support and resistance, support, resistance, support, resistance. It's support, resistance, that zone. That's what we had here. We had it nailing that, breach through for a little bit, form that lower low we'd look to break. And then over here, what have we gotten so far? Again, we got it up here, big candle swings up to test that area, that support resistance area. Crossed here, okay? Candle closed up above, hit the outer trend line, and it tested this all at once. Big green candle on a 15-minute time frame. So now we're sideways in that level on this candle between the high and the low. I got to get back to Nasdaq real quick because I know we're not doing much. We'll turn these back on. So does that kind of explain that, I hope? The highs and the lows are something you should always be aware of because that's where things turn. So in order for it to make a new high, it has to breach the previous high. In order for it to make a new low, it has to breach the previous low. Why do we need to know when price breaks through a high or low? Because that is telling us what structure is doing. It is price action that is telling you how the structure is. Are we still in bullish structure, bullish continuation? Or are we in bearish structure now? Bearish, a reversal or bearish continuation. So always pay attention to the highs and lows. And I know there's people that still teach that, but there's so much hype out there about I don't know whatnot. But this is nothing that's new. When you're looking at the new highs and lows to break, you're looking at that structure. Are we looking at a change in, structure? Right now we're in bullish structure. Okay, we have bullish structure, and we're looking for bullish continuation. So you'll hear these terms thrown around so much, and not always explained. So we're in bullish, structure. We want to see bullish continuation for our trade, for our runner. And but will we see a reversal? Will we see that change in character, that change in direction? So you always need to be aware of that. And it's too many people don't focus on the candles. They don't focus on the movements of the candles and what the chart's actually telling you. They have no idea, and they're just going. And you wait. Next thing you know, you're trying to get in too late because the bearish structure over here is already formed. So we had this high, that this one here, that really breached these wicks over here, right? So we could move our trend line, and we need to move it out here, and we're seeing that break again. So because we're, more sideways than anything, we're still creeping up. It's still creeping up there, but overall we've got a big struggle with buying and selling. Okay. So is the next big move, is the next breakout move going to be to the high side or to the low side and take us out? I don't know. So we just have to watch for that structure and just keep an eye on it. It is a never-ending battle for you to identify, and I'm going to take the triangle out because it's broke through the high. So what I look like, and when I leave the pendants on, I will leave pendants on until they're broken, okay, and tested. And then if this would have shot up, then I would leave it on the chart. Okay, so it broke through the top, came back down, tested it, pushed back up. Great. I would leave it on the chart. However, since that move up, we've gotten this huge push down, I'm going to go ahead and you can either pull it off the chart or leave it on, because it could come down and just bounce here on the bottom. So I'll go ahead and leave it up. We'll see what happens. Typically, I'd go ahead and take it off. I don't always leave them on the chart, but we'll see what happens on. But it hasn't even gone to PT2 yet. That's way up there, guys. We had such a huge move up here. This swing down to create that high and low. That if you look really from this swing up, if we sat there and measured it, oh, I got the magnet on. Sorry, we'll shut that off. We're at the 11:45, so we've got about 15 minutes left. So again, if you look at the high low there, we're at 471. If you look at where we hit up here, 360. So from breaking that high, it hasn't even moved up the same distance as this big swing down here. That swing it created at the start of the market. So again, just to kind of recap the trade this morning, I'm glad we waited till 10 o'clock because if I would have taken a candle break and close below the low and only been watching 9:30 to 9:45, I would have taken that candle short. Okay. And if you would have waited on a pullback, then you would have taken a pullback to test it. It did on that candle, and then another red candle, boom, you're in. So either entry, they're about the same price. So whether you get in on the break and close past, or you wait for the pullback, and then the next candle you're going to get in because you want it to pull back and test that level it just broke, well, then you would have been in, and they both would have been losing trades. So thankful for that, trading and waiting from 9:30 to 10. So we got about 15. Any questions? We got about 15 minutes here. We might run a little bit past, but nothing exciting today. And as we look at all four, where's my... Let me pop that back on there. So let's glance at all four right now. Let me pull some of this off here. So as we glance at all four, we've got S&P, closed past 1, and didn't quite hit 2, right? Here is Russell. Russell hasn't done much, hasn't even hit profit target 1. And there's Dow. Dow ticked, wicked past profit target 1. Now again on Dow, if you would have taken that, again, you have to look at the candle closes. Are you taking on a candle close, signal candle close? Then you got in down, you haven't done anything. You would not have closed partial at this level, the take profit 1. That's not enough room to close partial. You wouldn't have closed partial there at all. So you'd be in the negative right now on Dow if you got in on this. So the biggest thing I'm going to be watching is, again, at end of day at 4 o'clock. So at 4 o'clock, I'll take that screenshot, this quad view, and I'll post it out there and show where everything is at the end of day. Okay? Because right now we're only in that 2-hour time span. Okay? And we're looking at them. So the only thing that's gone close to level 2 basically is Nasdaq, but S&P has gone closer to level 2. But again, on the S&P entry, it was halfway to PT1. So would you have squeaked that instead of having your target right at PT1 because your loss is down here, are using that mid loss, okay, like we have over here. So today, again, all across the board, using a quarter loss stop loss, the quarter of the way through the box, which I think is about right there, would have been safe. Today, yesterday was not the case. So as you look at all these, again, your stop loss quarter away, right? Well, then that would be more of a 1-to-1. Could you do 1-to-1 and shoot for that target? All right. Yeah, John, it is the exact same way that I scalp. It's just faster. So the question is, do I do the exact same thing, looking at highs and lows, structure, when I'm scalping? Yes. It is just a lot faster because it'll be down on a 1-minute time frame. And I don't consider this is not scalping, 3-minute time frame. We're looking for an entry. We get an entry. We're waiting. We're sitting in here for hours. So the 1-minute time frame is what I'm on for scalping. But I will still draw trend lines. And then once I'm in a trade, I put this trail tool on. That right there, the trail tool, once I'm in an entry, and I will move my stop off that trailing tool is what I do. So I basically trail, if I got in down here, low. Let's say we bought today and we just bought the breakout on this ORB strategy, and you put this trailing tool. So the one thing I like about the trailing using the trailing tool to trail your stop loss is trailing a stop loss up a trend line is okay. You just have to picture at any point price going straight down. So when people talk about trailing their using their trend line as a stop loss, to me, on this candle right here, as we're moving up, going like this is tight, okay, on this move up. Because at any point in time, I picture, what if that wicks down to test the trend line? Okay, and my stop's too tight. So again, I'm trailing these candles up here that move. I'm trailing my, let's say I was using that trend line. Well, the trend line's really on up here. But what I like to do is, as I'm looking, if you're looking at a trend line to trail, don't trail it too tight. Always picture if a candle shoots straight down. It's just a big bearish candle. Shoot straight down to test that trend line. Keep your stop out of the way. And sometimes that's easier said than done, but most people don't do that. So that's what I like about a trailing stop tool. They're going to be based off ATR or moving averages. You have to select the one that's best for you. You'll see how it makes these plateau areas, these flat areas. That's what I use for my stop. And I never put it right on the plateau area. And I think you can see why. Right now, I'd be stopped out if I was using that today and had it right on that plateau area. So these plateau areas should be safe areas that it can come down and test, and it might wick past. So where do you put your stop? I like putting it between and going 2 levels back. So for me, my stop is either, and this to me, it would be here, because this is a short-lived flat plateau. This one's too close. So since these two plateaus are very, very close, I'm really looking back here at this small one as being my main plateau, this plateau. And I would want to keep my stop below that, so I go 2 levels back. So I go 2 levels back. I never put it on the line. So for me, it's back there. I always give it a little extra room. Now, I don't use it for signals, so now that it looks like it's turning orange, if you're using that, you would bail. You would actually close out your position on there. So something like that. But on a 1 minute, you're already out and in short. We'd be out of this and in short already on a 1. So now we've seen it push down. It briefly pushed down very low. It broke that candle, but we still have low areas in here, which is right where my order is. So where my order line is pretty much right in here. So guys, it's probably going to be over for us, and I need to move my stop back. Where did I have it? I had it below the low here. So we're going to lose back a little. So if I let it come back and hit my stop, we're going to be negative about 35 on the day. And I'll leave it that room. We'll give it that much room to see what happens the rest of the day. So nothing spectacular on this today. I don't, as I went back and looked at this, I don't expect spectacular out of it. Let's see here. And again, back testing on it's easy if you want to back test. I've got the 3 vertical lines on there. That for me just marks that 945. Again, you'll have the arrows, not the buy sell signal. But for me, the lines mark 2 things: that 9:45 noon, and then 4 p.m. So that's your day right there. If you're looking back and testing, that's our day. Here's your 945. So at 945, we'd mark the high-low. Surprise, surprise, by 10 o'clock, it was still within this 945 high-low. So again, either the one watching the 930 to 945 or 930 to 10, you're both taking the entry short here, sitting in the negative for a while. Unfortunately, if you have your stop at the half loss or quarter loss, you're both stopped out, and you have to get back in here when this candle closes back below that low again. So again, this thing, and I looked at the coding. I'm not sure. I've got to play around with it. I want it if price crosses the midway point and then crosses the low again, closes past low, that I want another signal here. I want to see that signal short right there. Well, right there. I can't get on that stinking candle right there, guys. I want a signal short because price went through the mid-level and then came back. I want that to be another sell signal. The way this thing does it is a candle has to close past the midpoint and then come down. And I'm not sure if I flip to 1 minute, I think it resets the charting, which I didn't want to see. I don't know if I can go that far back. It was all the way back. Just bear with me, guys. Sorry about this. I should have tried to pick a different day. So that was our first day. Right? Was it here? It was not the first day, was it? I'm all messed up now. I shouldn't have went back this far to try and find it. I'll have to find a different day that's not so far back so the charts aren't bouncing. But that's what I want to do. If it crosses the mid-level, I want to... there we are. I want to get another signal there. Unfortunately, when I switch time frames, it throws us back all over the chart. But that's what I want to see. If it crosses past that level and then comes back through, I want to see a signal. So it's easy to test this. Just go back and you can look at, ES, Russell, Dow, test all four. I haven't looked at stocks on it. I did put it on a stock chart yesterday only because Tyler had asked me about a stock to trade, and I gave him that stock to trade. I don't know where it's at right now. But basically, you could look and see that we had a sell. You would have taken that first loss. You would have re-entered here. It went to several profit targets. So not saying this works great. We had a sell here that went back and only stopped you out. You never got a re-entry. So this is that in the morning between 10 and 2, okay? And that's why the vertical lines mark, or 10 and noon, between 10 and noon, taking the trade. This would have been a loss for me. I would have wanted to trade the redemption period. Because, again, no winning trades between 10 and noon. I'm going to trade redemption. So redemption period, you get in here on a buy, you close partial. This would have been an okay. You close out at 4 o'clock. So again, not expecting huge moves on it. And then we come into next day, sell, hits PT1, taps PT2. Okay, so that would have been a winning trade. You would have got stopped out, moving your stop either to break even or the other point. It's not the best day. Here, a sell with a stopped out, redemption trade, sell, broke out a little. We're not expecting huge breakouts. You'll get them if you get them. So it's okay. The strategy is not the best. Let's see. So nothing's really panned out today. Again, both Nasdaq and ES almost went to level 2. I think S&P got the closest to level 2 than Nasdaq did. So right now we're in and we're okay. Again, if today I covered what was lost yesterday. So if you remember, we had two trades. The first one was a loss. The second one covered part of that, half that position just about. And we were still negative 195 today. That's why I did this on a new, just created a new paper account so we could track it. So this account, the only thing I'm trading here is this. So we're up $1.50, not even tip money. You better be tipping more than that, $1.50. So we're up $1.50, nothing. And so we made back our loss from yesterday. However, where I've got my stop, if it stops me out, I'm going to lose back $36. So we'll be at that around $34.50. So we'll see where we're at. I'll leave the trade on. Any questions before we leave? Yeah, and we can do some scalping sometime. I will not be scalping on like Nasdaq. It just these moves are just there's not much here. And Nasdaq is great. People can make a lot of profit on it. However, if the moves aren't predictable, you can't figure out the moves very well, and it does a lot of chop like this, why make yourself suffer trying to trade Nasdaq? And you guys know I've got someone locally that I was working with that they only wanted to trade Nasdaq. And I'm sending them pictures, screenshots of gold and Bitcoin, that were in a zone and broke out and were trending for days. And I only trade Nasdaq. I'm like, why? You're not an investor. You're he's just trying to scalp Nasdaq. Because that's what he'd seen on, what does the guy do? Instagram and TikTok. That's all he'd seen this guy use, Nasdaq. So that's what he thought he was supposed to do, just trade Nasdaq. He can make a living on it. Saw a lot of accounts blown. So we've hit that 12 o'clock mark, and this is where... you guys know I've always been a fan of make your plan. What are you going to do here at 12? Do you stop? Do we close out for the day and we're done? Or do we let the runner go till end of day, till 4? Now, my plan is I'm going to leave my stop where it is, and I'm going to let this go till end of day, because that's how I tested it. That's how I want to run it this week. I'm not going to close out at noon. But there are some traders that they're like, okay, I'm going to trade these 2 hours and I'm done. That it's that old, I need to make up a sign or something. There probably is already one. You get what you get and you don't throw a fit. That's what we got today. But we had one profitable trade. We're only trading one instrument. Profitable trade so far, not the greatest. We made a little over 195. We made about 196.50 because I was at 195 negative. So almost 200 on the day. So this is a good trade. Again, you look at what some people make. A person making $20 an hour, they make 160 a day for 8 hours. Okay? So we almost made 200 in the first whatever this was. I don't know. Here's 10 o'clock. So you come to the computer at 9:45, 9:50, whatever. You can come to the computer at 10 o'clock. You can sit down at 10 o'clock because we know we're not going to trade before 10. So using this strategy, I think that's what appeals to a lot of people is I can just come to the computer at 10. Or if they're at work, I can take a bathroom break every single day at 10 o'clock and go to the bathroom and set alarms on their phone. I think that's what appeals to a lot of people with this. It is a time-based system. Run to the bathroom because you work every morning, and at 10 o'clock, you place 2 alarms. Price today was up in here, up here, around 10. So you place 2 alarms. Place an alarm at the low, place an alarm at the high, boom, leave the bathroom. When that alarm triggers, guess what? You mysteriously have to go take a bathroom break. Alarm triggers here at what time was this? You guys, I'm laughing, but this is true. This is what some people have to do. 10:18. So at 10 o'clock, you set alarms. At 10:18, you mysteriously have to run back to the bathroom. And you go back to the bathroom and you place a trade. Okay? You'd be up for the day. You'd place your trade, 3 contracts, 4, 6, whatever. If we went with 6 contracts, I would close out 4. So we're doing 3, closing 2. If I did 6, I would put on 6 and close 4 and leave 2 runners on. So you place the trade. When the alarm's triggered, run to the bathroom, place trade. I'm talking if you're at work. And then you put a pending order up here on the line to close out 2 or 4 if you're doing 6. And then you walk away. You also need to set an alarm here. So along with setting your order here to close 2, I'd set an alarm. So the alarm goes off, or you get alerted that 2 were closed, and then you run back. It was here. So that would have been 10:45, half hour later from placing the trade. You go running back to the bathroom and you move your stop loss. And if you have to, change your order. It depends on the broker and what system you're using to trade. If they're bracket orders, your stop loss will match what your runner is, and you just move your stop loss. So very easy to do. And then at noon, you're taking lunch, and you could close out and be done for the day. So some people have to do that because they're working, working a day job. You can't sit there and stare at the chart. So if that's you, then that's what you'd have to do. You just make your system around it. That's totally what I would do if I was trading this. If I had to be at a job at 8 in the morning and work, if I was working, full 8-hour shift and I had to be there at 8 o'clock a.m., I would have an alarm set at 9:55. My phone would have an alarm 9:55. So the alarm goes off. I'm heading to the bathroom if it's 5 minutes away. Or I'm waiting. And then at 1 or 2 minutes till 10, I'm running to the bathroom. Go to the bathroom, 10 o'clock, setting alarm on the high, alarm on the low. That's all I need to do. I'm leaving the bathroom. Then here again, price hits that alarm line. Now, you'd have to have it set up on the alarm to where you want a candle to close above the line, not breach it. Because like this candle breached the line, alarm would have went off. And what if it would have turned and went back down after that? So you don't want to be alerted when it touches the line. You want to be alerted when it closes past. So it alerts here, it's closed past, run back to the bathroom, place the trade, place your pending order here to close 2, leave the bathroom. Then you get an alert on your phone that that order's canceled. The limit order here is canceled or closed. You know that you've taken profit. Well, now I need to go back to the bathroom. I'm not going to run this time because we know price is pushed up. So if that order's closed, I know that price is pushed up. I don't have to run to the bathroom this time. I go walk. But what I need to do is look to move my stop. So very easy to do. And then again, at noon, you're taking lunch. You'll have your phone open, you're watching. You have to decide, do you want to just close at noon or adjust your stop, and then where do you want to be at the end of the day? For me, it's we'll let it go till end of day. So at that point, what I'd do is I'd come up here, and I would, on my second line up here, profit level, I'd want to add an alert right on that level like I just did. And that's the next thing I need to know about. I really don't care what this does right now. So we're getting ready to end the stream. We may get stopped out as it pulls back, but if it bounces here, I really don't care if I get stopped out. So I'm going to leave my stop there. We'll take a little loss if it goes back. I don't really care about that. So I'm going to walk away from the computer. Actually, I need to. I got an appointment here in an hour. So I'm going to be walking away from the computer. Right now I'm set. I'm either going to get stopped out or it's going to come up and trigger my alarm. If it triggers my alarm, I'm going to do what? I'm going to open the charting and move my stop up. and probably here to level 1 is where I'll move my stop. So that's it. I'm set for the rest of the day till 4. So at 4 o'clock, no matter what, so again, if it comes down here and stops me out, I'm out of the trade. So it comes down, stops me out, I'm out of the trade. Don't care. That's all. That's it. So today I'm going to leave it go. Comes down, stops me out, I'm okay with that. If it goes up and hits this alarm, I will open up my trading platform and move my stop to that level right there, PT1. And then set my alarm at the next level, level 3, and walk away. Okay? Because then at that point, it's either going to stop me out here or it's going to hit level 3. Again, don't really care, just waiting for an alert. Ultimately then at 4 o'clock over here, I will open up my platform and close my trade. So I've actually got an alarm on my phone set at 4 to go off daily this week. At 4 o'clock, because if I'm still in it, could be bouncing around all day, guys. I may not get an alert the rest of the day. I may get nothing. It could bounce in between my stop and level 2 all day till 4. And if it does that, what am I doing? I don't know. I'm out enjoying life. I'm out doing whatever. I got a meeting here at 1:30. Other than that, I'm just doing my thing. So I don't really care. If I get an alarm that level 2's hit, I'll move my stop here to level 1. I just open up my platform and do it. So I can go about the rest of my day. I really don't care what it does. You can stop me out. I'm okay with that little loss. Yes, it'll be a losing day, but a small losing day. I'm just glad that the trade today made back the loss that we were in, the negative we were in from yesterday. Okay? So other than that, I really don't care. But it could move sideways. Now, as I'm saying all this, it looks like it's going to level 2. There it goes. Touch level 2. All right, so there's the alert. I didn't think that was really going to happen while I was talking. And there's my phone. So you get notifications on your phone from TradingView that the alert was hit. So I can move my stop now to here. And we'll leave it at profit level 1. It's not quite level 1. I'm going to move it right on that line. So that's where the stop is now. Right now, we're up 210, 12. So I have to decide, and this is something that is always kind of hard to decide. Do we close the whole thing right now? That's a good day for us. This is a really good day for us right now. Because we made up the 195 and now we're up to 70. If it stops back down, I'm really wanting it to hit level 3 right now. So we're going to run the stream a little longer. We'll see what it does. I could close out now and be 264 up on the day. Plus, like I said, we've made back what we had yesterday. So 195, 256 right now. It's a really good day so far. Do we close? Do we leave it run? I'm going to stick with my plan and hope that, and leave my stop and hope that the bullish push we had, we will see some continuation of that. I'm going to take these off the charts, obviously, because those aren't any good no more. And we've got a new high to break, of course. I'm going to leave this line. By the end of the day, I typically have a ton of lines on my chart, whether I'm day trading or scalping, doesn't matter. Because I would do that right there. So we have 2 lines. Now we have the high that it had here that we just broke. Of course, it went up and hit 2, so we moved the stop. And then we have the new high that it just made on this big green candle. So as we're pulling back, we would look to see if it bounces. What I'd like to see is I'd love to see a bounce in here, you know, off that. Now, are we going to see it move, you know, sideways for the rest of the day? I don't know. It's Nasdaq. We might run this out for another hour here. As I drink my cold coffee, lukewarm coffee. Let's see what happened on the others. See what levels they hit. Because we know they hit levels. I need to, I'm going to turn off the historical on here. All right, so here we are, S&P. It hit level 2, okay, and turned. Did not hit level 3. We have a 4-hour zone there. Notice the yellow zone. That, again, is a 4-hour level. So it really respected that, and so far turned. Keep forgetting. If I hold down on the Alt key and click on a chart, it will blow it up. Level 2, right at noon, level 2. Looks like it was hit. I'd have to look at the high-low candle on there. But it's pretty close, or hit that. I've got that on the 15 still. Let's drop it back down to a 3. And as we look again, we looked at this earlier, the Dow being right at that 4-hour zone. So it almost hit 2. So we're seeing where these actually today have gone toward level 2. The level 2 on Dow, level 2 on Russell. Oh, Russell's still a 1. Forget it. So Russell's at 1. Dow's at level 2. Almost hit 2, but didn't breach it. Okay, so Russell did the worst today. Russell's been the worst today. I like that if you got in, though, on Russell, you would have just now hit profit. Your stop could have been the quarter loss. That, to me, is great. We look at Dow, same thing. Got in on Dow. It quickly went up, hit PT1. You would have closed partial. Your stop could have been at the quarter mark. Now, if you pulled your stop to break even, you'd have been stopped out. Right now, on Russell, you would have just hit profit. So if you move your stop to break even on Russell, you'd have it about here. So if it pulls back, you'd get stopped out. Okay? So if you want to give it extra room, you're leaving your stop at the quarter loss area. Same here. If Dow Jones, if you got in, it quickly went up, hit PT1, you closed partial. If you left your stop at the quarter stop level, you'd still be in. If you moved your stop to break even, you would have got stopped out here and missed this push, okay, where you'd be in if you left your stop alone. So that is something to consider, is you're going to keep your loss or leave it. So S&P and Nasdaq, those are the two that about hit PT3. So right now, those would be, I'd consider those two to be kind of a toss-up. And then you look at the stops. Of course, the entries on both about the same time. You would have closed partial. And then if your stop was at quarter loss, if you didn't move it, you'd still be in. Okay. So far, okay. As I would go out to... As we go out to that right there, that's what we would mark. We would mark that Nasdaq hit. We're looking at what level it's hitting. It's hitting near PT3, so not quite there, but I would mark PT3 on those, and we would have one trade. All these would be one trade today that you could have profited in because of this big move. None of them you would have went in a redemption period. And then Russell just hit PT1. So far, looking at the stats, S&P looks the best to me. S&P has almost hit or almost hit PT3 both days with one trade. Nasdaq, it did it today, but yesterday in 2 trades, it took the 2 trades before it went to PT2 on one of those 2 trades, the second trade. So far, S&P actually looks the best. Okay, overall. Russell looks the worst. So far, Russell's the worst out of them. So that would be the one I'd consider right now that I may not trade that. May not trade Russell because of that. I got stopped out. All right, so I'm stopped out. Where are we at? Big, huge move up, big, huge move down. So again, I talked about while it was happening, that big move up, do you just close out and call it a day? So I didn't do it because that wasn't my game plan that I set up for the week. So for the week, I set up that if it closed above a level, I was going to move my stop to that next level under it. So that being the plan for the week, that's what we did. So we could have been up a couple hundred, like it was 260 or 250, somewhere in there. It just closed out and been done, but my plan was to move my stop. So we got stopped out. So we're up 95. That's not the best. It's okay. I mean, it's day 2. So we're up a little bit. So at this point, I'll go ahead and kill the stream. So again, for the rest of the day, what I'm specifically looking at is where are we at the end of the day? Okay. So at end of day, what happens with the rest of these trades? All 4 of them. Do they end up going, did I just get stopped out of Nasdaq only for it to continue on, to see more continuation of another continuation of the move? I don't know. I don't know at this point, but we'll see at the end of the day. So at 4 o'clock, I'll crop a screenshot, but ultimately I need to see at end of day, because we know I got stopped out. Everybody knows I got stopped out. I'm okay with that. We made $95. Not the best. And actually, we made $95. However, we recovered from yesterday, which was $195. Okay? So this has been a very good trade today. If we wouldn't have taken the loss yesterday, or got stopped out because I moved on the second trade, I got stopped out because I moved my stop to break even. Remember, I got stopped out early. It went further. So that second trade could have covered yesterday. So if that would have happened, then today would have been all profit and we'd be up more. So what I want to watch specifically is, remember my stop was down here. We did quarter loss. If I want to see if it hits that the rest of the day, the quarter loss area. Okay. Is that get hitting? So I want to analyze the rest of the day. I'm not going to sit here and watch it and analyze it. And I don't care if it falls back in the box and then pops back out. We've had a profitable trade. So, but what I want to see is, does this happen? Does it break through that stop? Does it pull down and stop that out? Or as it's pulling down, do we get a bounce only to make a higher high? That is what I need to see by the end of the day. If we're analyzing this and looking, how can we tweak it for next week? If we're going to trade this next week, what kind of tweaks can we do on the strategy to get us more profit? All right. So I'll open this up. This is what we've done on, that's this week so far. So not the best. We're only up $95. Okay. But we made up for our loss yesterday. So remember, 319 loss, 117 gain. The runner was out at 7. Today's initial closing partial, 197. Remember, we were down 194. I was down 194. So it made back to 194, okay, this morning when we closed partial. And then we've had 95. So far today, I'd consider that a great day, because that's more than again, what most people make out working 8 hours. And here we work till what? 10 to noon, 10 to 12:30. So 2.5 hours. So in 2.5 hours time, now of course Monday we took a loss the first time. Okay. And then we gained some back, but we were still down 195. So it's like taking the day off. Yesterday, we ended up like as if we took the day off. We didn't go out and earn our 8 hours worth of work, our pay. We took the day off. So we took the day off yesterday. We're down because we didn't make a paycheck yesterday. We were down $200. Well, today we made that back and then a little bit. So not great so far. We're not off to a super huge start, but I think today was great. And then it, one, covered yesterday's loss, and two, we had a small profit of 94. So, all right, guys, I'm going to kill the stream. The biggest thing is, again, we're going to look and see what happens at the end of day on all these. We know what has hit near profit target 3, and Nasdaq actually came closer to the third target. However, S&P as well came as close. But if we look back again at that tracker chart, I have to switch chart or screens when I come over. We look back at this. So far, again, S&P looks the best. Now, over the weekend, I only tested Nasdaq. I did not look at all four of these. The reason why, it takes a lot of time to look over these back tests and kind of manually mark the charts as you see the entries. As I look at a chart and I look and see like this entry here on, on this chart, I would mark an arrow and mark that as an entry and where we close parses. So it just takes some time doing it. So I didn't go through all four. The reason why I chose Nasdaq is because that someone had sent me a DM and asked about trading Nasdaq, and that's what they're not ask about it, but that's what they're trading. They're trading Nasdaq and wanting to trade the ORB strategy. So I just thought, well, sure, let's go ahead and have some fun this weekend. Sometimes I welcome that because it's different than what I normally do. So it kind of gives me something to do. I do a lot of stuff at night. Like I did that video training on this on Sunday and recorded it. And I didn't start it till like 1 o'clock. 1 or 1:30 is when I started recording it, and then uploaded it to YouTube. So I don't know, when the family's asleep, a lot of times I can't sleep and I'll come out and do stuff. So when the person DM'd me and asked me about it, I was like, well, this will be cool. It's just, it gives me something to do over the weekend other than what I normally do. And while the family's asleep, I can't trade. I'm not trading over the weekend. So it was something to go over. So again, I wasn't looking at all. So we're doing that this week. We're going to look to see. I want just this week's data to look and see what pans out. It may at the end of the week be, that we look at S&P. And tonight, what I'm probably going to do is I'm probably going to go back on S&P and just take that quick glance. Okay. For one, I got to take the indicator, return historical on, and I'll come back and take a quick glance. This is what I'm going to do. I'll come back just like this, and I'm not going to do it in replay mode. I don't need to do replay mode. I want the 3 lines on the chart, and I'm going to come in, and I don't need replay mode. I don't need to run it because that takes a lot of time to tick over these 3 candles. Once you trade and take it, well, then you've got to let it play out to get into the next day over here. So I won't be doing that, but what I'd be doing is doing this right here. I'd be, okay, we had a sell signal, you take it, doesn't hit, you'd have pending order here, doesn't hit, PT1 stops you out, mid-level or half, either way, stops you out. Since it crossed the halfway line, you get another candle close below that low, boom, we're going to take that. There's your trade. Second trade. Profitable trade on the second. We have an alert go off. Crossing the line. I'm going to go look at that. and then that's your profitable trade. So you don't have trade redemption period. And it never goes back for redemption period anyways. Most of the time, remember, the reason why you're trading a redemption period trade breakout is because it hasn't broken out in the first 2 hours. So if you're trading over here in the first 2 hours and it breaks out and runs, you don't need to trade a redemption period trade. And you're not going to get an opportunity to, because it's already broken out. Trading the redemption time, afternoon to 4, is because it hasn't broken out and ran. It's broken out and put you in a loss, broke out, put you in a loss, and it may be sideways and then breaks out. So if you haven't taken a trade, that's why we're doing it. So again, it's going to be quick to go back and look. Would have taken a loss here, first trade entry, pull back to loss, quarter or half, no entry here because it doesn't close past, and then you get a buy in the redemption period that pays off. So I will go back and look at S&P tonight. Here's a loss. I need to take this signal, this one off here, guys. I've got the power trade indicator on, so ignore the buys and sells on that. We're looking for the breakout. Short, sell, nothing, So I'll go back and look over S&P. I'll let you know tomorrow morning what I find. I had an alarm on, or was that the old alarm? Yeah, that was from the other alarm. I got a pop-up. All right, so I'll kill the stream. Hope you enjoyed. I definitely enjoyed doing it. This is something different, so this is nice. And then, of course, I'll be in tonight looking at some currency pairs to trade. Don't forget the next 3 weeks. So this will be the last morning week. And then for 3 weeks, we'll be doing live in the evenings. I haven't decided on the time yet to start, but it'll be during the Asian session. And we'll run for like an hour or two. We'll do that in the evenings for about 3 weeks, and then we'll be back to mornings. So I've just got a lot of stuff I've scheduled. We have a big event here that I'm part of, and so it's a couple. It's basically 3 weeks that I'm helping doing some training with some people. So it's like a 3-week live event. So pretty excited about that, but that's tying up my mornings for the next 3 weeks. That's why we're going to shift and do evening session changes or trades. So that'll give us a little bit of a change where, because I know there's a lot of people out there that are working, that they come home and they're looking to make some money trading in the evening. So I'll look at that stock real quick. I don't know where it's at. See how that stock, this is yesterday, the stock I gave Tyler, and he did not get in. So I got in on this buy signal, and I told him, I'm like, you need to get in now. I sent him a text. He's only in that class from 10:20 to 11:30, I think, or 11. It's an hour, and he's out. And I said, well, can you trade the rest of the day? Because he was hitting me up yesterday while we were in here, and he's like, oh, yeah, I can trade. Oh, it was over here he was at, and asking about it. And, of course, we were live, so I couldn't look. So after our live yesterday, I looked in the afternoon and found this. And again, I looked at, I'm not big on stocks, so I know enough about analysis and what I need to look at. So I went ahead and analyzed it and everything else. And I told him the biggest thing with because this is pharmaceuticals, said the biggest thing with that is at any point in time, if they've got some kind of new drug or something that's coming out, it gets denied at any point in time, that could tank, that could turn. So I sent him some charts. I said, I'm in. And I put up $2,500 risk, and it was to make, I had it to go up and make $6K. Well, when it hit that $6K mark, I didn't close out all. I closed out part, and then as it went up for the rest of the day, closed out at end of day. And then he asked me, he's like, well, is it still going to go up tomorrow? I'm like, I just told him, I said, man, it's had such a huge climb up, I wouldn't expect it. I said, but you have to wait till tomorrow morning and look and trade. And again, he's trading after 10. So I told him, I said, you may want to look at doing this right here. Since he's coming into the market at 10:20, I said, why don't you look at the low and the high? And at 10:20, when you get to class, see where it's at. Did it break the 10 o'clock low and high? If not, wait till it breaks out and closes on the other side of one of those. I said, I don't know if you can use this long-term, Tyler, or not. I said, but you can look at it. And so that's what he was doing. And I didn't have time to go back and look, but that's what I'd want to do, is go back and look. And this is with the stock, so it's totally different. So anyways, hope you enjoyed today. We'll be back tomorrow. Again, if I trade tonight, I'll post some of those in there if I get in trades, so you guys can get in them as well if you want. But tonight it'll be gold, Bitcoin is what we'll do. And then definitely look at the Forex calendar. We don't have anything tonight. Tomorrow night we do have news on the Kiwi. So when we do the night sessions, it's going to be a little different because I will be doing the Australian dollar and the Kiwi. So especially if there's news coming out on those. All right, guys. So I'm going to kill the live. Hope you